The Las Vegas Raiders got some much-needed good news. My name is Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and I'm going to tell you what that much-needed good news is here in just a moment. But also, at the very, very end of today's show, we're going to go through some NFL news, some rumors that could potentially impact the silver and black. Shout out to the Raiders. Shout out to Rick Dennison. Shout out to all of y'all out there, the fact that we don't got to deal with another Brennan Carroll type of situation. Thank you, the Lord of all gods, that Klint Kubiak's kids aren't old enough to coach an offensive line. But the Las Vegas Raiders, the news that I know I needed, the news that I think the nation needed, the news that I want people when they watch this video to realize how good of a hire. Rick Dennison being named the offensive line coach. If you believe in the trenches, if you believe that we do have some really good players that are a part of this organization, if you want the Raiders to draft Fernando Mendoza, all of these things are good news, because if you don't have an offensive line, it doesn't freaking matter. And Rick Dennison is an outstanding hire for the Raiders to be their offensive line coach. And I don't really think that this one's coming out of left field. I did a video back on February 12th, and you can see my offensive line prediction for the Raiders was Rick Dennison. The biggest reason was because of all the connections that he had with Klint Kubiak, that he has with the Kubiak family from top to bottom. But this is why I do want people to hit that subscribe button. It's why I say you will become a smarter Raiders fan watching this show. I'm not 100% right all the time, but we put out a lot of information. We make more content than anybody on the planet, and it's because I know this team very well. I follow tea leaves. We cover everything that has to go on around the Raiders. But if this is the first time you've hearing about Rick Dennison, then hey, join the Raiders Report. Let me prove to you why we are the #1 Raiders show in the world. So why we're going to talk about Rico, and I just recently found this out, that Rick Dennison's nickname, it was given to him back when he was a player, was Rico. So the reason why Rico is a great freaking hire, you got the Klint Kubiak ties. You got the Kubiak ties in general from top to bottom. Heck, this guy goes all the way back working with Klint's dad, Gary, long, long time ago. But he was the senior offensive assistant in New Orleans with Kubiak in 2024. He was with Klint from 2019 to 2021 in Minnesota as an offensive line coach, run game coordinator, and a senior advisor. Also, Klint was actually an offensive assistant underneath Rick Dennison when Dennison was the Denver Broncos offensive coordinator in 2026. To me, Rick has done a really good job connecting himself with Klint. Klint's done a really good job connecting himself with Rick Dennison. And I said this before when the Raiders went out and they hired Andrew Janocko. The reason why you wanted the Raiders to hire their now OC, Andrew Janocko, is because he has helped Klint Kubiak be the best version of himself. If you wanted the best version of the offense that you just saw in Seattle, a big part of that was Dennison, who really took over a lot of these ground game organizations that they decided to do this past year. So Rick Dennison, the ties to Kubiak, that's reason #1 here why this is a great hire. Let's go to the second reason. And, you know, a lot of times when you bring in new coaches, the question is, do they have experience? And luckily for us, Rico's got tons and tons of experience. And he was the Denver Broncos offensive line coach from 2001 to 2005. Also then again in 2009. The offensive line coach and run game coordinator for the New York Jets in 2018, the Minnesota Vikings from 2019 to 2020. And then this past season was the Seahawks run game coordinator and senior offensive advisor. But he had a very big hand in what that team did in terms of running the football. I want the Raiders to get the most out of Mendoza, no doubt about it. But the other part of this equation of why fans should be so fired up, I know it's 2026, and we're doing a lot of talk about Mendoza. I've been the person that sat up here on this show and has said, if you don't have a good offensive line, you shouldn't draft Fernando Mendoza. So what's the first step to getting a good offensive line? Yeah, we got to spend money in free agency, but you got to be able to bring somebody that has the experience that's able to get the job done. The other pick that you did last year, Ashton Genty, #6 overall, with all the holes that we had, that was a risky move, no doubt about it. But now you're adding Rick Dennison, somebody who's got running back success. So not only are you doing your best to invest in 2026 with Mendoza, you're also doing your best to invest in Ashton Jeanty last season. And when you look at the fact that Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet combined for 1,757 yards and 17 touchdowns in 2025. Success with Alvin Kamara in 2024, Dalvin Cook in 2019, 2020, LeSean McCoy in 2017. Also, USA just beat Canada. The Chat Sports Studios is going absolutely wild. Give me a USA, USA, USA down below. But seriously, though, Rick Dennison does have a lot of that running back success. Arian Foster, Mike Anderson, Reuben Droughns. Like, these are all backs very different. And I just remember when our team at Chat Sports was at the Super Bowl and we had the opportunity to talk to Gray Zabel, JSN. We talked to A.J. Barner, and we talked to them about, just kind of learning the Klint Kubiak system. And one of the things that they said was like, it's good to know that when you see success for multiple seasons, you as a player go, well, this system obviously works. So how can I do everything in my power to make sure that I'm the best fit in this system? If you're Ashton Jeanty, if you're a new running back stepping into this system, you're looking at, well, Rick Dennison's running backs have had a lot of success. So because there's that multiple success with Rick, multiple success with Klint Kubiak, I think that it's just going to translate very well that our coaches this time around are actually good coaches. And what they say, you should listen and you should try to apply what they're telling you. Because last year, unfortunately, our offensive line coach, you can make the argument, might have been the worst coach in the National Football League at any position from top to bottom. Let's go to the final reason here why I like this move a lot. He's a proven winner. And I have found myself saying this a lot this season. Proven winner, Fernando Mendoza. Proven winner, Klint Kubiak. I do think winning is contagious, and Rick Dennison has won 4 Super Bowls in his coaching career. And that, yes, he hasn't been the head coach, but when you're still a part of 4 Super Bowl runs and you're a part of 4 different organizations that have won those Super Bowls, what you do at age 67 is you can go, well, this is what this team did. This is what this team did. This is what this team did. And you can apply what you've learned, and you apply it to the Las Vegas Raiders. On top of that, I think when you have NFL experience, and he's got 9 years of NFL experience, 27 years of NFL coaching experience, on top of the 4 Super Bowls, on top of the success at running back, on top of all the other coaching years of experience, OC offensive line coach, you add all of that up, and this is why I believe Rick Dennison, for the Raiders on the offensive line, I think it's an A-plus hire. But I know this show's not about me. And I know I say that all the time, but the reason why this is the #1 Raiders show on the planet is because of the amazing, amazing community that we have each and every day here. So what I want you to do is go down to the comments section. I don't know if Rick Dennison's on YouTube at 67, but you know what, Rick? If you come across this video, I hope you go down to the comments section, and I hope that you see how many people are fired up that you're the next head coach of the Silver and Black. I hope that you take this opportunity to drop an A down below, because I do. I really think that this is an A grade for the Raiders because, again, you're not just hiring Rick Dennison. You need people that help Klint Kubiak be the best version of himself. And I would have made the argument earlier this offseason that the 2 coaches most important for Klint Kubiak, you got the first guy in Andrew Janocko. He's now your OC. And now you got Rick Dennison to be the offensive line coach and somebody that's really going to help get that ground game going. Now, I've talked about Rick a bunch, and I hope that I've already convinced you to hit that subscribe button. Other news that did end up dropping, and this one's coming in from Tom Pelissero, former Falcons special teams coordinator Marquice Williams has agreed to terms with the Raiders to be their senior special teams coach. He was with the Atlanta Falcons from 2021 to 2025, and I'll say this. I talked to our Falcons host here at Chat Sports. He kind of laughed at me. He was like, that guy's a terrible coach. And there's been some rumors out there that he did not do a good job in terms of special teams. Now, luckily, he's, again, not our special teams coach. He is somebody that's just going to be a part of the special teams room overall. But a lot of times, you got to go, what's the why? Why did the Raiders decide to go this route? I personally think the reason why the Raiders decided to go this route was because Williams has connections with the Raiders' assistant head coach, Mike McCoy, from their time together with the then San Diego Chargers. So, again, assistance, I'm not going to overblow it all that much, but at the end of the day, if I get information, I'm going to share it with you. And our Falcons host was like, that guy's terrible at his job. I'm just hoping that the connection makes the most sense, so that way our special teams unit can be a good special teams unit going forward. Coming up next here on the show, NFL news that could impact the Raiders. These are some of the bigger stories that I've seen over the past 24 hours. And anytime, any big-time stories pop up, I'll get fans from time to time hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, at Mitchell Renz 365, and they'll be like, Mitch, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? Well, I'm going to tell you what I think about this, that, and the other. I'm also going to tell you how awesome of a deal that this is right now. Shout out to Panda Supps for sponsoring the Raiders Report. We get a lot of sponsors here on the show, and I can remember back in the very, very old days doing this show where, I would reach out to people all the time. Hey, do you want to sponsor? Hey, do you want to sponsor? Hey, do you want to sponsor? And Panda Supps has been a part of the ride here for over 6 years. They've been hooking up the nation. It's owned and operated by a diehard Raiders fan. So if the code Kubiak for 26% off at pandasupps.com isn't a good enough code for you, or isn't enough a reason for you to get started with Panda, I mean, these are the supplements that I trust with me, myself, my body. These are the supplements my wife likes to use as well. There's a bunch of guys here at Chat Sports. I know there's a bunch of Raiders Report watchers that use Panda Supps as well. But the bottom line is this. If you're trying to be the best version of yourself, no shame in taking some supplements that help you be the best version of yourself. So that link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Use code Kubiak for 26% off at pandasupps.com. So let's go to some NFL news that I think that y'all need to know. Wyatt Teller, could he be coming to the Las Vegas Raiders? I bring this up because this news happened yesterday from Schefter that Browns Pro Bowl guard Wyatt Teller, who is scheduled to be a free agent this offseason, announced on IG that he will not return to Cleveland and he will now sign elsewhere. And there's been multiple people that I know, multiple people that I trust that have said, Mitch, hey, the Raiders should go out and get Wyatt Teller. Colin Cowherd literally said it today. Hey, Raiders, this is too obvious. Fernando Mendoza will appreciate it. And he was regarding Teller. So I know that it's not a secret that the Raiders need offensive line help, right? It's why we just got so damn fired up for Rick Dennison. But my question to all of Raider fans out there is this. Should the Raiders sign Wyatt Teller? We need help on the interior. No doubt about it. When he's healthy, no doubt he's a very talented player. So you're about to get in with another YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and let me know, should the Raiders sign Wyatt Teller? If he's healthy, then yes, you absolutely positively have to consider it. But the past 2 years, he hasn't been 100% healthy. Y'all know how much I love my guy Sanjeet. He's one of the best in the biz here at making Raiders content. Sanjeet, you'll always be one of my guys. He had this to say on why the Raiders should potentially look at Teller. If the Raiders want to fix the O-line, they should add Wyatt Teller at right guard. He is a superstar, in my opinion, and one of the league's best. He has been hurt in recent seasons, but when he's healthy, he is really good. And I 100% agree with what Sanjeet is saying. I will admit this. Teller did not make my top 10 offensive lineman that the Raiders should sign in 2026 video. And I say that because I know Teller is a good player. On the same breath, though, I laugh when I hear all the time that the Raiders aren't going to be able to fix their offensive line this offseason, and people say that Fernando Mendoza shouldn't come here. We just hired Rick Dennison. We got over $100 million is what we're going to have for salary cap space. And Wyatt Teller could be the 10th, 11th best offensive lineman that hits the open market. There are a lot of good O-linemen that are going to hit the open market this upcoming season. So, again, Wyatt Teller, if he's healthy, you got to consider it. If he's not, I do think that there's other better options out there for the Silver and Black to consider. Let's go to another name here. It's Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I had a few people ask me, Mitch, could the Raiders trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick? For those of you that don't know, I think he is one of the best safeties in the National Football League. He is still, 29 years old, which I was kind of shocked to find out that he was 29. I was still thinking he was a little bit younger than that. But according to Jordan Schultz, the Dolphins have had trade talks with teams regarding safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. And it's no secret. The Raiders, we have needs at the safety position, right? You got Isaiah Paul-Amal. You got Jeremy Chin. But outside of that, you don't have somebody that I think can be a true drop-back safety. Minkah is if you could hit the upgrade button on Isaiah Paul-Amal, it would be Minkah Fitzpatrick. Like, Polamalu's a better box safety. Minkah Fitzpatrick can do literally all things. But the reason why a lot of times I think people ask me is because Minkah has overlap with new Raiders defensive coordinator Rob Leonard. I believe it was from 2019 to 2020, if my memory serves me correct. Yeah, it's from 2019 to 2020 because then he ended up going to the Pittsburgh Steelers from 2021 to 20. Yeah, okay, I was going to say, I know that he had overlap with Rob Leonard, but because Rob was there with Minkah, that could be a connection. The only reason why I don't think that the Raiders are one of the teams that are trying to trade for Minkah is because whoever trades for Fitzpatrick, that team's probably in Super Bowl now mode. And as much as I wish I could say the Raiders are, I don't really think it makes a lot of sense for you to trade for a 29 going to be 30-year-old safety this upcoming season. Let's go to some more news, some more rumors. This one's from Adam Schefter, and he was talking about a Maxx Crosby trade. I don't really think it's anything new information that we haven't seen or talked about, but when Schefter talks about Crosby, I'm going to let you know that Schefter talked about Crosby. I was told that the Raiders don't want to trade him, and if they even contemplated it, then it would take a Micah Parsons type package. Well, I don't think that the Raiders are going to get a Micah Parsons type package. I've also said probably 100 times this offseason that if the Raiders trade Maxx Crosby, not because the Raiders want to do it. Klint Kubiak made that very clear at his press conference. He wants 98 to be a part of this organization. And if the Raiders do end up trading Maxx Crosby, it's because Max wants it. And I want that everybody needs to know that. It's because Maxx Crosby has asked to be traded. Not saying it's impossible. In fact, I do think it is a true coin flip whether or not 98 is in silver and black this upcoming season. Now, if you guys want to get your hands on a weird Kubiak shirt, I know that I feel like we're freaking Kubiak. And again, people that watch this show, especially, it's February 19th, right? Some people might go, oh, there's nothing that happened today around the Raiders. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Rick Dennison getting hired to be our offensive line coach. I think it's actually probably one of the biggest hires that the Raiders have made outside of OC, DC. Honestly, it's how I'd rank it. I go Klint Kubiak's number one. Number two, you could say Rob Leonard, Andrew Janocko, OC, DC. Right there with them, Rick frickin' Dennison. I know, I almost dropped the F-bomb. But, like, when you see moves like that, it makes me confident that we are Kubiak. And I do feel like the Raiders are moving in the right direction. So if you want to get your hands on any of this Kubiak gear, T-shirts, hoodies, go to chatsports.com/Kubiak. That link's going to be down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Let's go to the final story here. And I talked about this yesterday on the program that the Raiders could be potentially looking at a quarterback coach. Unfortunately, the dude that we were looking at is staying with Minnesota, and he's not coming here to the silver and black. Vikings assistant offensive coordinator Jordan Traylor, who has continued to be highly sought out after by other teams, is expected to stay in Minnesota, sources tell CBS Sports. So that was somebody that the Raiders were interested in interviewing. They requested to interview him yesterday, which I talked about on this show, but it sounds like he's going to be staying with the Minnesota Vikings. So I don't know exactly where that leads us next. In the video that I predicted Rick Dennison to be the Raiders offensive line coach, I also predicted that I thought that the quarterback coach could be Brian Griese. And I only said that because of his connections to Klint Kubiak, because Griese was a quarterback's coach with the San Francisco 49ers. What's also interesting, Brian Griese has connections to guess who? Rick frickin' Dennison. I don't know. It's my best guess. We'll see who the quarterback coach is going to end up being. But for those of you that do not know, and I just want y'all to, write this down. It's important. I'm not saying to do this to celebrate me in any way, shape, or form, but tomorrow is a really big day here on the Raiders Report. And honestly, today, this whole week, is a big week for me as well. I always do my best to keep you guys up to date. I always want y'all to hit that subscribe button. I always want you guys to be looking for Raiders news. And when Raiders news drops, I take it upon myself to drop whatever I'm doing to make sure that you guys are staying in the know. You guys are committed every single day, and I try to match that commitment to excellence to the best of my ability because I don't think anybody on this planet is going to outwork me trying to keep the nation up to date. So tomorrow, we're going to be live here on the Raiders Report, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 o'clock my time. We're going to be getting crazy. It's a birthday celebration. I can't even believe it, man. I'm about to be 33 years old. Wild, wild stuff. What's also awesome, L.A. Crash Dog. One of the nicest guys in the building, one of the best dudes on planet Earth. He's going to be getting into Mount Raidermore tomorrow. We've had 15 people get into Mount Raidermore. Crash Dog will be number 15. I'm telling y'all, every time we do one of these shows, they are unbelievable. Buckle up, Buttercup. Bring your drinking pants. It's going to be a party. The other reason, though, why I say this is my dad and family are in town until Sunday. I don't get a lot of opportunities to see my dad. I don't get a lot of opportunities to see my family. I work a lot, and when they come down to Dallas, we have a good time. So fair warning. I'm getting ready right now to go do a happy hour. My dad and I are about to have some drinks. We're going to be having a good time from now until I probably leave on Sunday. So if you see any videos where I look a little bit banged up, just remind yourself. It's my birthday tomorrow. My dad's in town. And when my dad's in town and the family are in town, it's always time for a good time. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Buckle up, Buttercups. It's going to be a party.